The orbital station hummed with the nervous energy of 1,000 species conducting their daily commerce, but Ria's attention remained fixed on the massive figure approaching her workshop bay. Drac, the alpha of the Krell predator pack, moved through the crowd like a warship cutting through asteroid debris, every being instinctively clearing a path before him. Engineer Ria, Drac's voice rumbled, his 6 eyes fixed upon her with an intensity that had made lesser beings flee. I have a request. Ria wiped the grease from her hands, meeting his gaze without flinching. 3 years on the frontier had taught her that showing fear to apex predators only invited trouble. I'm listening. Behind Drac, 3 smaller figures huddled, his cubs barely reaching his mid-torso, their scales still soft with youth. The largest couldn't have been more than 7 cycles old by human standards. The Concord Treaty requires my presence at the Outer Rim negotiations, 6 weeks minimum. Drac's claws flexed, a sign of discomfort Ria had learned to recognize. I cannot bring them. The journey is too dangerous, and I cannot leave them with the Concord daycares. They do not understand Krell needs. And you want me to watch them? Ria raised an eyebrow. You are the only species that has ever looked at a Krell and seen potential rather than threat. Drac's voice softened, almost imperceptibly. Your kind builds. We destroy. Perhaps they could learn something different. Ria studied the 3 cubs. They watched her with curiosity rather than the hunting focus of their father. She thought of her own nieces back on Earth, how they'd followed her around the workshop asking endless questions about every tool and mechanism. All right, she said, but they follow my rules. This is an engineering bay, not a hunting ground. Drac's relief was palpable. They will obey. The first week was chaos. The cubs, named Vesh, Kira, and Ren, had the attention span of caffeinated squirrels and the destructive capacity of plasma cutters. They knocked over equipment, accidentally activated welding torches, and once nearly ejected themselves into space by leaning on an airlock control. But Ria noticed something. Whenever they broke something, they would examine the pieces with intense fascination. When Vesh shattered a hover drone, he spent 2 hours arranging the components, trying to understand how they'd fit together. You want to know how it works? Ria asked, crouching beside him. Vesh's eyes swirled with color, surprise. Father says we break things. It is what Krell do. Everyone breaks things, Ria replied, pulling out her tablet. The question is, do you want to learn how to build them? The transformation was gradual but unmistakable. Ria started with the basics, simple circuits, basic structural integrity, load-bearing calculations. The cubs absorbed information like black holes consuming matter. What shocked Ria wasn't just their capacity to learn, but their instinctive grasp of 3-dimensional thinking. Their predator brains, evolved for tracking prey through complex environments, made them natural structural engineers. No, Kira chirped, pointing at Ria's bridge design. Weight distribution wrong. Collapse here. Her small claw indicated a joint Ria had overlooked. Ria ran the simulation. The bridge failed exactly where Kira predicted. How did you can see it? Kira said simply. Like hunting, but with forces instead of prey. By week 3, the cubs weren't just learning, they were innovating. Ren developed a fastening system that required 30% fewer components. Vesh discovered that combining human welding techniques with Krell scale hardening secretions created bonds stronger than military-grade adhesives. The other engineers on the station began to take notice. Species that had feared the Krell for millennia watched in amazement as the 3 cubs constructed a full-scale defensive bunker in the station's training area, complete with overlapping fields of fire, redundant structural supports, and an emergency evacuation system that put human designs to shame. They're building fortresses, muttered Commander Yalesh, a 4-armed Zentari military officer. In 3 weeks, human engineers taught Krell cubs to build fortresses. Not just fortresses, Ria corrected, pride evident in her voice. They're building the future. When Drac returned in week 6, he found his cubs in Ria's workshop, covered in hydraulic fluid and happily arguing about stress tolerances. Father. Vesh spotted him first. Look what we made. They led him to the cargo bay where a structure waited, a dwelling designed specifically for Krell physiology, but incorporating principles from a dozen species architectures. It could withstand Category 5 storms, had integrated defense systems, and most impressively, could be assembled by a team of 4 in under 6 hours. Drac stood speechless. his massive frame trembling slightly. "We call it the Proving Den," Kira explained. "Every Krell family could have one. No more living in caves that collapse. No more losing cubs to territorial disputes because we have nowhere else to go." "You taught them this?" Drac turned to Rhea, his voice thick with emotion. "I taught them the basics," Rhea shrugged. "They did the rest. Turns out when you give apex predators the tools to build instead of just hunt, they become apex creators." Drac placed a massive paw on Rhea's shoulder, a gesture of deepest respect in Krell culture. "My people have been warriors for 10,000 generations. In 6 weeks you showed my children how to be architects. I do not know how to repay this." "Actually," Rhea grinned, "I have an idea. How would you feel about a joint venture? Humanity provides the engineering knowledge. The Krell provide the spatial intelligence and muscle. We could revolutionize construction across the Concord." Drac's laugh rumbled through the bay like thunder. "The galaxy fears the Krell as destroyers. Let them learn to fear us as builders instead." 6 months later, the first Krell Human Construction Consortium completed the frontier's most ambitious project, a self-sustaining colony that could house 20,000 beings of mixed species, built in half the projected time and under budget. And at the dedication ceremony, 3 young Krell stood beside Rhea, not as cubs anymore, but as certified engineers, wearing tool belts instead of hunting trophies. The galaxy was learning what Rhea had always known. Humanity's greatest gift wasn't their technology or their weapons. It was their stubborn belief that anyone, even apex predators, could be taught to build instead of destroy. All you had to do was give them the chance.